So I'm guessing we've all seen those videos that recommend a bunch of different side hustles that make people money online. More often than not, they're promising results because they are a creator who has successfully leveraged any of these tools themselves and already make that amount of money, or they are selling an online course on a specific topic, and that's actually how they make their money. And what I find is that most of these creators and most of this content is quite informational and can be very helpful, but they rarely give the nitty-gritty details of what it's actually like to start from scratch. The people who have seen success highly recommend that you focus on one thing at a time and build that up and then add additional income streams as you get along. It's much more recommended to start small and then eventually you can potentially consider quitting your 9-to-5 and switching to that as your main hustle. Well, I'm unemployed and don't have a 9-to-5 to juggle at the same time. And so I was thinking, since I have nothing to lose, I might as well try to start as many of these side hustles as I can at the same time and see where that gets me. To be more specific, I've been unemployed for more than a year now. So you might be thinking, Sat, if you're unemployed, why aren't you just looking for a job instead? Well, first of all, the job market is a nightmare right now. And for a little bit of background, I was an operations engineer at a tech startup. And the tech industry in particular is extra chaotic right now. And I was applying for jobs the first 6 months of my unemployment, and that did not get me anywhere. Another reason for really not wanting to go back to a standard 9-to-5 or a job if I can avoid it is that over the past year of being unemployed, I've found a lot more enjoyment and satisfaction in having the time to dedicate to other things like my passions. If you've seen some of the videos on this channel, I am a dancer, and that has been something that I've been able to dedicate way more time and say yes to way more opportunities to over the past year than I would have been able to if I was still working. And that's not something I'm ready to sacrifice again just yet. So I want to explore my options while I can and see if there is a way for me to achieve some kind of financial freedom, either through self-employment or through passive income that will allow me to have the time, freedom, and flexibility to keep pursuing those other things. You might also be questioning how I've survived being unemployed for a full year, and I want to be completely transparent on this channel and on this journey, and so I will share what I can. No, I do not have a trust fund. I do not come from a lucrative or rich family. Honestly, I grew up in a family that was living paycheck to paycheck for most of our childhood, but I am, I guess, relatively low maintenance, if you could say that, and I was lucky enough to build a pretty decent emergency fund while I was employed for my first 2 years out of college. Additionally, my severance pay when I was laid off, plus the unemployment compensation that I was receiving for the first 6 months of being unemployed, all combined made for a pretty decent safety net that I was able to rely on for the past year. However, clearly, that will not last me forever. It is getting to the point where my wiggle room is nearing where my safety net is no longer netting, I don't know. Basically, we're nearing a point where that's starting to run out. And so I'm actually giving myself 3 months to make this work in hopes of getting to avoid having to look for a job again. If by that point in time, this does not work out, then I will resort to looking for a 9-to-5 job and going back into the corporate life that I do not enjoy. So basically, the goal for this series is to hit making $5K a month by the end of 3 months from side hustles and passive income streams. Why $5K a month? For me, that's a very, one, reasonable, I hope, goal, and 2, is enough to buy my financial freedom. That's around the same amount I used to make when I was working full-time, and that's a perfectly comfortable salary range for me to live my standard normal life. That'll cover my rent, that'll cover my monthly expenses, and that leaves a little bit of extra on the side for my savings. That is basically the amount where I feel comfortable calling myself properly self-employed, and that I am confident in this endeavor to keep going. Okay, so obviously for an endeavor like this, we need a plan or at least a general idea of what I'm going to be doing. And so I have a little bit of a list of the different side hustles that I am considering pursuing. And this list might change depending on if I discover any new things that might be of interest or if I get any suggestions that I think might be a good idea. So the list is content creation, UGC, freelancing, making digital products, print on demand, maybe affiliate marketing, teaching, which is specifically teaching dance in person, and surveys, research, or donations, and other things like that. So that's the list for now. It may grow, it may shrink. We'll see what happens. Hopefully we can build those things out. And if you're interested in coming along for the journey or in seeing how I do any of these things, or if you have any suggestions for potential side hustles to work on, leave them down in the comments below and I'll see if I can get to them. So I want to be productive this week and actually make progress on all of those different things that I'm trying to get started. And that can only really be done with a plan. So I'm gonna start off with a really rough project planning method called brain dumping and brainstorming. So I have a whole bunch of different tasks and things that I know I need to be doing at some point. I'm gonna put them up on a wall and then try and organize them and see what different pillars and pathways and specific things I should be doing and how each one contributes to specific goals. And then kind of go from there to see what the timeline really looks like.
Okay, so here's the plan. I'm gonna use this wall, put my sticky notes up. Hopefully I can organize them and group them based on something and then go from there. I'm sure I've missed some things. These were just all the things that I could think of when I started doing them earlier, and then yeah. Okay, so I just did a task brainstorming session. That's what's on the wall behind me. But yeah, I basically laid out all of the tasks for all of the different things that I want to work on and build out on. So this includes bits creating print on demand, creating digital products, UGC, all of those things. So I grouped them all based on those specific targets and or what each task is working towards. And yeah, that's kind of laid out right now. So that Kanban board of sticky notes on my wall got turned into a digital Kanban on my computer on Asana to get all of my stuff done and get everything lined up. Okay, so of my many things going on, they're all at different stages and different capacities, but all pretty much starting. But one of the things that I'm trying to set up is a print-on-demand shop that I want to do in collaboration with my friend back home in the Philippines, because she is much more of a traditional visual artist than I am. And I'm hoping to use her skills to help create designs for a print-on-demand store and eventually maybe turning into some other kind of art store that we can create together. I think just starting with print on demand is going to be the easiest way for us to manage inventory and actually make sales. And eventually, if we find a way to carry our own inventory, who knows, we'll see what happens. But anyway, finally managed to find common time last night to hop on a call because time differences make it very difficult. And so we had our little initial kind of idea generation and brain dumping of what this could possibly become. And so from there, we've basically agreed to set up ways for us to collaborate asynchronously. So that's really fun and that's moving along. And I'm really excited because having at least one of these things be something that I can collaborate with somebody else on should feel less isolating than all the other things I'm going to be doing by myself. But that's a little update for this video.
Okay, so before we even started with week 1 and week 2, I want to share with you any of the expenses that I've had. So for example, anything that I've purchased for content creation, I will be including as expenses for this, because if anybody else is trying to start this from scratch, then it's like, you should know what I've spent money on that are relevant to this thing. So some of these happened over the past couple of months, and are not necessarily, from the beginning of this series onwards, but these are things that I've purchased in order to aid and improve the quality of the work that I'm doing for these endeavors. So I've spent around $250 roughly on just some pre-existing equipment, used equipment that I actually purchased from my old company that I used to work for. So that includes the laptop that I do work on, as well as the external monitor and the external hard drives that I got from them that store all of the data for the videos that I film. And I count this as expenses for my content creation and for my YouTube channel. Along with that, earlier this year, I purchased a microphone. So this DJI Mic Mini, that was $89 off of Amazon. I also purchased a tripod that the camera is on right now for $26.99, and bought this camera that I now have. This is a camera that I got off of Facebook Marketplace. It was also secondhand, and I paid $650 for it, but it's a Sony ZV-E10, and yeah. I guess I can include links to these things in the description below. Maybe there'll be affiliate links. I don't know if people care, but yeah, so I now have a camera. For the first couple of months of me starting my channel, I was filming on my phone, which is a Samsung S22, and on a GoPro Hero 8 that I think my mom bought for herself or for my brother a while ago, but they weren't using it, so. Oh, and I've also purchased a website domain, and that was on just like a really big discount with this one website. So I spent $2.06 on that. So those are so far all of my business expenses. Sorry, so turns out I forgot to film and mention the side hustle income that I've made over the past couple of months. So in order to just balance that out and make for a very clear starting point, I'm also going to share what income I've been able to make since pretty much the beginning of this year through just side hustle methods. So prior to the beginning of this series, in terms of teaching dance, I actually made a total of $350 just from teaching. So that includes other group classes that I had been asked and invited to teach, and the workshops that I was self-hosting. Okay, my voice is getting progressively worse. I apologize. So I also talked about the Red Cross donor backup situation, and so I started doing that earlier this year in January, and so for the past 6 months, I've made a total of $850 just from doing that. And another side hustle source that I've had, or that I managed to get a little bit from, is Dscout. So Dscout is an app that does like focus group surveys or research surveys, and you get paid if you qualify to respond to one of them. So I really only managed to qualify for about 3 of their surveys, and in total I made $195 from those 3. Those were all in March, and since then I haven't been able to successfully qualify for any more. That's not the most reliable source either, but it's a little bit of an option of a side hustle if anyone is interested in trying it. That's the income so far. Basically, over the past 6 months, I've made about $1,200. So I guess our starting point is roughly $200 per month instead of a $0 per month, but that's still a long ways away from $5K per month. So that's that. Okay, so I'm gonna be sharing new episodes of this every 2 weeks. I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so what did I actually do during weeks 1 and weeks 2 of this challenge series experiment? I don't know what we're gonna call it yet. We'll start with the ones that actually made me money. So in terms of dance teaching, I actually taught my very first private lesson that got me $35. And I also did in week 2 another round of the Red Cross specialized donor program backup. So basically it's similar to a blood donation, except you don't actually end up donating blood because it's the specialized donor program. So they need to pre-screen potential donors, and usually they have a main donor for each session, but they also require backups just in case something goes wrong or the main donor isn't able to donate that day. I think it's just like the equipment is expensive and everything is set up already, and so they prefer to always be able to get a donation out of each session, so they have backup positions as well. So I usually sign up to be a backup donor for most days, and for each session of that you get paid $150. So I made that. In terms of the ones that make money, that's pretty much it. So my total for week 1 and week 2 is $185. And in terms of what other work I've done towards any of my other side hustles, for UGC, I'm still in the process of trying to build up a portfolio. I haven't been doing that well on it. I need to make some like mock content with different products that I have around my house, and I was also in the process of building like my portfolio website template and how I want that to look. I did find a channel that was sharing a very well detailed account of her process of trying to start UGC, so that was really inspiring, and so I'm probably gonna use that as a bit of a guide on how to, get through my next steps. But my first step for UGC really is building a portfolio, and because I haven't made content of that variety yet, I am going to be building that from scratch. And so that's on my to-do list for the next week. I've also been editing my backlog of videos so that I have videos to release between episodes of this, and also just trying to clean up my storage and all that kind of stuff. I know I haven't been posting videos for like the past month or so because I've been prepping and gearing up and planning for the start of this series, and just trying to give myself a little bit of a break, because prior to that I was posting every single week. Moving forward, I will be posting again every single week, and hopefully that will keep going. And yeah, I also started filming a bunch of b-roll and different shots, both in vertical and landscape format, so that I have content for the short form account that's going to be launching soon. Well, I guess at the same time as this probably. So basically over the past 2 weeks, I've been building up my content calendar and really planning out what I need to get done in terms of creating content to set myself up for the next couple of weeks. And batch creating content is actually the next thing. Today is my batch content creation day, so we'll see. And I guess in terms of progress towards content creation, within the past 2 weeks, sometime around that is when I got this camera, and so I've been using it and practicing with it and testing with it, because I'm not the most familiar with all of its fancy settings and whatnot. So we've been trying to figure that out and seeing how that looks in editing as well. In terms of freelancing, I wish I could say that I finished it by now, but I bought this $7 course from Dea, which is her mini DBM bootcamp, and it's really good value for the amount that you pay for it. And I think her content is like really good, and I really like her perspective on like the freelancing and gig economy. But I'm really bad at finishing online courses, and so it's only supposed to be a 5-day challenge. I think I bought the course like maybe a month ago, maybe more, and basically on the day that I bought it, I made it to like day 2 or day 3 and then kind of got stuck, and so I haven't finished it yet, but I'm pretty sure I only have like 1 to 2 hours worth of content to consume from it, so I really should just get to it. Wow, my voice is getting really bad now. In another subset of freelancing, I actually was able to soft pitch to a friend of mine who runs a studio in hopes that she might need help, especially like any form of technical help with the back end of how she runs the business, the website, and so on and so forth. And turns out that she does have a little bit of work that she thinks she can hand off to me. So we're in the works of figuring that out. And yeah, I think actually she just sent me the information that I need to get started on that. So we've got a little bit of progress there as well. I did also actually, in terms of like extra side gigs. In terms of side gigs, I also within these past 2 weeks discovered dataannotation.tech, which is a platform for people to help evaluate AI and like basically AI responses. And they, I think for the base rate, pay like $20 an hour or per session or something. I basically went through like the screening process and like the exams that it takes. It takes a lot of time to go through all of it and to answer all of the things. So I've been a little bit slow about it and like taking my time with it, because it's not often that I get to just like sit down and do a test for like an hour. So that's kind of something that I recently discovered. We'll see if it gets anywhere and if it's worth like the amount of effort and time that it actually takes to answer and produce work that way, and see how much I can make from that. The print-on-demand store idea that I have is something that I actually want to work on with my friend. So we've actually already had 2 meetings over the past couple of weeks. The first meeting was just kind of to pitch the idea, see if this was something she was interested in. And the second meeting, we did a little bit of brainstorming and actually came up with like a concept for the store, which is really exciting. I'm not going to share what that is, but I'm really looking forward to being able to work on that and launch that. And so yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And so in terms of digital products, I've kind of developed a list of potential products that I can make that I think would be useful, and or things that I actually just need for myself and can probably sell. Yeah, those are still also in the working planning stages. I actually also was able to soft pitch the idea to another friend of mine who has a little bit more experience with content creation and whatnot, who is also interested in looking and exploring different side hustles and income streams, to see if she wanted to collaborate with any ideas there. And so that might also be a potential area for collaboration, which is also really exciting. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at on all of those things so far. So before fully wrapping this video up, I actually also wanted to share some bonus things, like some bonus achievements or things that I did over the past couple of weeks that are meant to highlight and show that not everything has to be about making money, and not everything, like I don't want to be all consumed by the grind of monetizing everything that I do and making money with everything that I do. One of the highlights of the past couple of weeks is that a couple of friends and I learned, practiced, filmed, and produced a dance cover video of a really popular song and choreography that we're going to be releasing soon. I think actually that's going to be the video that comes up after this one. And so I'll be sharing the dance video, and I'll also be sharing a behind the scenes vlog to go along with that. So that's going to be super duper exciting, and honestly made me realize a lot of things that I would really like to pursue more, creatively speaking, especially like getting to kind of essentially direct, film, and edit like a dance music video was just super exciting, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I'll share more in the actual vlog. Was able to create some short form content of like West Coast Swing content just from like my practice sessions, and that's been something on my like to-do list that I need to probably just do more often. And so that came out during this time. I organized and hosted one of the monthly local dance socials that I am part of. You know, that just takes up a lot of time, and I felt like it was worth acknowledging. And also I attended Philly Pride, so I might have a short mini vlog of Philly Pride Fest maybe, and or maybe some just like a Pride vlog or something like that that spans over a couple of weeks for different activities that I might be doing that are Pride related. It's June. Happy Pride, y'all. But yeah, I guess I also technically dyed and cut my hair. So if you see any clips and I look very different, that's why. So that happened within the past 2 weeks. Oh, and I actually also attended the Philly qualifiers for the Red Bull Dance Your Style battles. That was really fun. I was able to pull a couple of dance friends to come out with me for that. And honestly, I think that was the first freestyle battle competition I had seen live and in person, and we were like front row for that. So that was really exciting. I have some clips from that as well, and we'll see if it makes it into a vlog, or maybe like, again, a mini short form vlog. But yeah, so that's kind of the summary of the first 2 weeks of this experiment, of this soft hustle experiment. I just wanted to, you know, be able to share things that I've been making progress on and or have been doing. Hopefully over the next couple of episodes, I'll get better at actually like vlogging as I'm doing the thing instead of having to like narrate what I've done. Just the past couple of weeks have been a little bit chaotic and busy, and I've not been on top of my like to-do list for this process, but also I felt the need to start the series now because obviously I could have pushed this back a couple of weeks more, but I just needed to get this done. Again, my voice sounds insane right now because I'm just getting over a bit of a cold, and like while I could have waited a couple of extra days to wait for this to clear up before I filmed this video, I figured I should stick to my schedule and I should get this done now because I want to release this video and I want to start the series and I want to share this with all of you. I'm really hoping that this will serve as a form of accountability and documentation and a bit of a diary on like how this process is going, what it's going to be like, and hopefully something to look back at. But again, it's all an experiment. It could go really, really well. It could go terribly. And it's entirely possible that 3 months from now, I'm going to need to beg on my knees and find a full-time job again to survive. So either way, we'll see. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you guys have any questions, if you guys have any suggestions, if you prefer a different kind of format for this, just tell me your opinion. I would love to hear it and I would love to use that feedback for the next one. But thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate you, and leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, I don't know, the usual stuff, but I should probably stop talking and let my voice rest so that I don't sound like this for any longer. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye.